What's up, YouTube? Graphic content episode 6. I'm Who That Comics. That
Boston
is
Chris Comics.
Boston Chris. Let's
Yes.
go, man. It's gonna be fun. So we got a special guest. I was able to change the title before the stream, though I didn't let me change it. So we shout out Michael Baker, who came through early, and Ben Compton and K-Pop, who's always a supporter as well. But special guest on this kind of free for all, open forum type of show tonight. None other than our Hunt brother. If my computer stopped acting up, I thought I almost shut everything down just now. Nothing but our Hunt brother, man, Mr. Jeffery. What's up, Jeffrey?
Hey, what's going on, guys? Good to see you.
Good to see you too, man. We were just talking backstage. It's so funny when we talk, we kind of forget we have a show. And it's like it's almost like let's just record backstage talk and just move on, and then I can edit it and we can edit it and stuff like that. What's up, Liz? Oh, Liz is another person that always pops on at everybody's show.
Good to see everyone.
Good to see everybody. Oh, to let people know, I'll be doing the giveaway for the super chat giveaway. I don't know if I'll do it this week, but it's closed. I'll be running it, so just be on the lookout for that. So I appreciate everybody. So today we're going to talk a little Guardians 3, expectations, speculation, what we think. Is it going to make 100 million this weekend? I don't know. A lot of different things. So that's kind of what the talk. We're not spoiling anything because we haven't seen the movie. We don't know any spoilers. We're just talking what we think, what we thoughts on it. My biggest thing is the movie's 2 hours and 30 minutes. That's the runtime of the movie. That does not count the preview, so make sure you have 3 hours free to see this movie. So that's the biggest thing. I had to get a babysitter because this is not the fun kind of dancey Guardians movie. I don't think it's going to be as much. So it might start off like that because they all kind of start off like that.
There'll be some moments, I'm sure, like that, right?
Yeah. But my daughter will not want to see characters die. I don't know what you guys are thinking about this movie coming out. It's a big movie, man. This is probably the biggest Marvel movie since Spider-Man.
I think it's bigger than that. I think maybe not bigger, but I think it's gonna be better as far as like the best movie since like Endgame or something like that.
Yeah,
I think. Yeah, I mean, I would say, I think Ant-Man like slightly had a little bit more going on it, just because people are like, oh, Kang is gonna be in this movie. And with Guardians, it's like, so you had that big moment with Kang, and that was like, all right, so where are we going from here? And I think Guardians is kind of is going to answer a little bit of that. It's also, I think, going to leave, a lot of questions too. I think there's going to be a lot that happens that, will leave some cliffhangers, or will leave open space for what's going to happen next. Because I think a lot of people don't. I think that what a lot of people kind of don't take into account is that, when you have those big moments where those big characters get introduced, they kind of do like the next movies that they'll try to tie up loose ends, and then also kind of leave things open for other avenues to start popping up. So I think that it's going to be good. I think people are looking forward to it. I know I am. I just hope that if it's not quite what exactly people are expecting, or if it's not something that just has this overall huge atmosphere like Ant-Man did, I hope that people don't just start trashing, like, oh, see, this is a problem with these, and this is, what I mean, just because there's too much of that. It's just like, look, you got to let them lay the foundation to make the story keep going. Everybody's expecting story right from the get. Oh, like, and this is exactly what's happening. Like, you have to remember, this is, not dealing necessarily in multiverse. This is now the space stuff. So it's just like, there's a lot that's going to be coming in, and it's just like, it's going to take some time to really build that, because they really haven't built too much of that yet. It's only just been Guardians. You had some with Thanos, and then they've just kind of been relegated just to Guardians as far as the outer space stuff. And a little bit with Captain Marvel too, but I mean, minuscule. But it's like, they're still building that foundation for the space stuff.
I think you also
Michael Baker says, "Is it a lame duck movie?" I'm gonna say a big no, big no.
No, I don't
to
think at
answer
all.
that. No, he's just asking that. He's like, and I think it's a big no. And how the stories of you got to realize how these movies are made. If Warlock was presented in the first movie, I would say yes to your question, but he wasn't presented to the second movie.
Yeah.
And if you look at the how the story and how all this stuff came about, it'd been impossible for him to be in Infinity War. Now, could he have made a cameo in Endgame? Yeah, but it wouldn't have made sense.
Exactly.
All you would have had is a Cocoon, and then Warlock appeared. All the comic nerds would have been hyped, and all the people who are in the movie is like, who the hell is this guy?
Well, and then it's just like, what does he have to do with this? Because you know what it would have been if Warlock had just shown up, and then especially if he had joined the fight, it would have been the exact same thing that happened with Captain Marvel, where it's just like, oh, like something's coming, what is it? And all of a sudden, like Captain Marvel and everybody lost their shit.
That would have had to be. Yeah, that would have been. That would have had to been Warlock. She took over his role. So
but it's just as unexplained as everything else. It's like, oh, like you know what I mean? And sadly, I think people would have accepted, like, oh yeah, see, Warlock came into this. What's his motivation to do it? You know what I mean? Like you can look back and people that like don't like that, don't like how that happened. You have to look at it where it's just like she was involved over the past 5 years. Yeah, she came in at the end and she was the one that swung the battle to their favor. But it's just like it made sense for her to show up and fight the way she did. You know what I mean? So it's just like I don't think it's a lame duck movie at all. I think that just to more to Hudat's point, it's just like I think a lot of people are expecting this big expansive thing. Or some people might be expecting this big, huge, expansive, like, oh, so this is how everything connects, right? And it's like, no. They're going to continue on from the Guardian story just because, two, they introduced the Cocoon and they say, oh, it's going to, I'm going to call him Adam. And so now they're continuing with that story. They're not going to, I don't think they're going to tap into like multiverse stuff or anything like that. I think they're just going to stick strictly with the Guardians. And I think it's going to be a very solid movie, just like the other two have been.
Yeah, I'm actually the little clips I've seen in this movie hasn't really told me any story of where it's going. I don't know who's gonna die. I'm actually liking the little clips because they just make me want to see the movie more. A lot of people don't like watching those things because they don't want to get told anything. But
you got like a 2.5 hour long movie. You got a few clips you can see.
Yeah,
I think
these little 30-second clips or less, 15-second clips. Don't actually don't tell you anything. It kind of reaffirms that this is going to be a long, good movie.
I haven't seen anything.
And they actually took a lot of stuff from the comics in the movie. And I know y'all know from the first trailer, because you know how evolutionary he wants to create a better society or whatever. So he likes the idea of humans, of certain things we do, but he wanted to fix the things that he doesn't like, which all the bigotry, the racism, all that stuff.
Yeah.
So he makes a planet with like a Earth 2 or whatever you want to call it, and they're animals, but they're like human animals, like the humanized animals or whatever you want to say.
Yeah.
So and it's in the movie, so that's from the comics.
Yeah.
I didn't even realize that till I kind of like went back and somebody told me and I looked at it.
Well, yeah.
And just real quick, one thing that I feel like by now we should know, like from Marvel, like it's not going to be 100% storyline accurate based on the comic books. So if you're still going into a Marvel movie and expecting the storyline to be accurate and disappointed by one of the movies when you come out because it's not 100% storyline accurate, I think at this point you probably should just not see the movie, or because
they got how you saying that they got a lot of people who are like that. They really like that. They hate the Marvel movies because it's not 100% accurate to the comics.
Yeah, I would say like this, and I'll say some of that I understand if it's younger people with that type of thing, just because I remember when I was younger, and I can tell you, like the Ryan Singer X-Men, like the first one. I did like it, but I was just like, oh, why is the team like this? How come it's not like, the original X-Men? Where's Beast? Where's this one? Where's that one? Why they have? And it's just like, okay. And then like, second one, I was more excited to see more characters in there, but I still got kind of annoyed. I'm like, oh, what the hell is it? Like, why are they doing like this? And how come Lady Deathstrike's hair already? Like, how did this happen? And it's just like, but that's also you're talking about me when I was like, in my in my late teens and early 20s, being like, oh, like, why is this like this? This doesn't make any sense. And it's just like, as you get older, you kind of figure it out. It's just like, I mean, even people will say the same. I mean, you could say the same thing about the Harry Potter movies. If you read those books and you were faithful to those books, and like, oh, this, like a couple of them are really faithful. Like the first couple movies are really faithful to it, but then after that, like they said, the studio started telling her, like, look, these movies are getting to be way too long. Like we gotta like do this in a way that it's not gonna bankrupt us, like because it's too much money that you're trying to spend making these movies. So
yeah, and you got to remember, not every person in the world's read every comic book either. Like
exactly.
some people maybe have read a lot of comic books, but they've never read anything about the Guardians of the Galaxy. Like,
exactly.
When the X-Men movies came out, all that I knew about X-Men was the cartoons. I love the X-Men cartoons. And the movies
exactly. And if you go to
I liked the movies too. Like, I didn't think they were horrible. By the time you could realize that CG and stuff wasn't great towards the end of the movies and stuff like that. But at the time, it probably helped me grow a love for comic books even more at that point. You know what
absolutely.
I mean? You want to learn and find out.
Yeah, X-Men was a good mix. They mix the cartoon with the old.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? So it's like, I don't know if I like the that's why I'm kind of curious to see what X-Men does. Are they gonna stick with the old? They're gonna go with the new, or they're gonna do a mix mash?
I think too, with that, you also got to look at it from like, if you watch the old X-Men cartoon, like I remember being a little kid, I was just so happy that it was an X-Men cartoon coming on. It's just like I wasn't worried that it wasn't like, oh, like so it's not the original full X-Men, it's this one. And I loved every time they had someone come in. The only thing that used to bug me a little bit was when they had strongly established X-Men that would kind of come in for cameos, and like Colossus came in for like 1 or 2 shows and then was gone. I was like, no, we need Colossus in there the whole time. Like, and it's just like, those things that you want to see, but then it kind of made it special when you're like, oh, like, so this guy's coming in. Like, I remember they did that Days of Future Past story, and it was a 2-part story. And at one part, when Xavier's evil, like when his evil mind consciousness comes out, he's sitting there and he's like, kind of like when they're leading into Onslaught, like all of a sudden, like he's on the train, and then he keeps like morphing in these different things, and he morphs really quickly into Deadpool. I was like, oh wow, like they put Deadpool into this. That's really cool. It's just like just all that stuff was fun. And I think that Jeffrey makes a great point where it's just like, if you say that you are a big Guardians of the Galaxy fan coming into this, I will call you out and say that is bullshit, because I don't think anybody was a huge Guardians fan prior to the movie coming out, just because that team, was like probably brand new at that point. Nobody really, like the Guardians of the Galaxy, the old comic books, the ones, the first group was like there's nothing even close to that. And then the regular title that they had was very different. So it's just like there's a lot of stuff that like you can take with a grain of salt. And really, the fact that they've been so good, those movies, is just like, like I feel like that's the thing that people kind of need to really look at, is just that like Guardians movies have been solid so far. So there's really no reason, even if it doesn't go the way that you hope it goes, there's no reason for it not to be good. You know what I mean? I think, like some people are like, oh, like, well, because I'm sure that Ego wasn't exactly what everybody expected it to be until, and then all of a sudden, and they kind of tied into like, okay, he's a giant planet, and you can see like, okay, so there's the part of Ego with the big face on the other side, and like, oh, okay, so this is the Ego that we have in the comics, but it's just like Kurt Russell being Ego and being just a regular man and all the rest of that. That was pretty cool. That was a good way of
they had to figure out a way how to make that work, if that makes any sense, and how they did it made it work. It worked. Like, so people you can expect that with Galactus. Just to let people know, Galactus is going to be a world eater, but he's gonna they're gonna do something to make him. Yeah, they're gonna make something where they can fight him, like, because the comics in cartoons or the movies, they're gonna. I hate to say it like this. They gotta make it more realistic, because even though it's not realistic, but they're like if it was a giant planet killer that stays like that, nobody would beat it.
You're talking like Transformer level.
That's what I think they're gonna do with what's his name? You talking about Transformers? Unicron, because Unicron is gonna be in the new Transformers, but obviously Unicron is dropping like little henchmen. If you watch the trailer closely, they're fighting little other, Autobots or whatever you want to call it. They're fighting other, beings like them.
Yeah, that's what it reminded me of that.
Yeah, it's coming from Unicron.
Because in the preview goes, well, how big is he? And he's like, dude, he eats planets.
Yeah,
it's gotta be pretty big.
Yeah.
What's up, Lady Fantastic? I forgot to shout you out. What's up?
And that's the thing I think too is that as much as people are like, I grew up with it this way, you have to understand too. It's like you can't point to a 6-year-old comic and say, well, this is the way it should be. It's like no, because you gotta kind of sometimes you have to modernize things a little bit. Sometimes you got to do it so that it makes more sense, that it's more palatable. Just because, I mean, while yes, it would be awesome to see Galactus be what he was and what he's been in the comics. It's just like there's got to be a way to explain it, and you got to understand too that like even though it's a movie, there's still time constraints. Like they're still gonna try to put a whole bunch of story into a 2.5 to 3 hour space. It's like they're trying to put that all into one thing, so they're gonna have to cut corners where they can to make everything work.
And not only
if you have multiple characters that you're introducing or multiple characters working within it.
Not only that, but like just say that this is the end of the Guardians of the Galaxies. This is the trilogy, the last of the trilogy. They'll probably come out with something else further down the road. But like this is technically supposed to be the end of it. So this better be the 4th of July firework parade show. You know what I mean? Like of the series, it should hopefully, if they do it right, it should be I think like it should. I'm not saying it's good. I think it should be. I think it should be Avengers Endgame level type of a movie.
Yeah, I think it's going to be really good. I think that depending on where things kind of fall, it might have kind of a similar feeling to how so when you had the whole last battle in the last one, they kind of innuendo that there's going to be that that they almost all died because Ego was trying to suck them all into the planet and everything, and then they beat him, and then it was like, okay, so now how do they and it's just like, all right, well, it looks like they're gonna have to leave Star-Lord behind. He's gonna die because he's not a god anymore. Now he's just a regular man. And then who comes and saves him is Yondu. And it's like, oh, wow. And then they did that whole, Yondu redemption arc thing. And then, at the end of that, it was just like how they pulled it all together and they made, they basically just made them a stronger family unit because of the fact that, everybody reconciled. And then, Star-Lord goes ahead and he basically embraces that, Yondu is basically his father figure and everything. And then you had the funeral, and then there's so they know, they know how to put everything and build it to the right emotional level, and then to really how to bring it all together. So I think it's going to be a good movie. I think it's going to be.
They're definitely going to be tugging at your heartstrings.
This
might be a tearjerker. Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like if you felt nothing during that Yondu scene, like you have no heart, because that was set like when he's like, I'm Mary Poppins, and then you see him, and he's dying, and then when they do the funeral part of it, it's just like, wow, that's hot. That's a tough thing to keep a straight face and think, oh, like this doesn't make me feel anything. Like, of course it does.
There's been a few of them when they killed off Tony Stark. That was a tearjerker. I was still watch God. That. Like
the whole so that whole thing. Endgame and Infinity War are both tough just because when they dusted the people, and it's like when Spider-Man dies, like that gets me every time, and then also
Gamora.
Like the Gamora scene is really rough, and then when Groot goes and you see Rocket's like, no, I'm like, oh, see, they can't be having this, and then and then the next movie, like when they come back, and then when T'Challa steps back through, And then you see Spider-Man like, oh, like good luck keeping a dry eye during that too, because it's like they're all back. You're excited, and then when Tony dies, it's sad.
The Hawkeye and the Black Widow fight, to see who dies, that was a tearjerker, and you lose her. Like
and when he's like, I couldn't bring her back, I tried. Like when Hulk's like, I tried as hard as I couldn't get her back. Like those type of things, like, and that's how you made a good movie. Like when it can like hit you like that. That's why I say
she says she's done, but I don't think anybody's done for Secret Wars. She might be done after Secret Wars. But
is there a chance that wasn't even like the real Black Widow we saw? No, it's got to be, right? Like,
yeah, no, I think she actually dead. But the thing is that like how they all come about and say, well, I'm done, never again, not happening. It's just like they'll come to them with a big boatload of money and be like, listen, we need you for 3 more, just 3 more. Like,
we need you to be a Skrull to impersonate yourself. Or like with the Skrulls coming up, you never know. Somebody that we've gotten to know over the last few years is probably not who we think they are. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
We're gonna find out that one of these big characters was like a Skrull infiltrating the whole time.
Well, they played in the part that Nick Fury was a Skrull. Not totally, but like parts of it, because they got what movie was it when he's in space? Right? Was it Captain Marvel? He's in space, and and the Skrull is playing him on Earth.
I think that's Captain Marvel. I can't. I think the Skrull one with him is Captain Marvel. I can't be for sure.
But I mean, so he's already kind of been like one of them. So like the show Secret Invasion, I mean, you don't even know if that's gonna be the real Nick Fury.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's really the toughest part of it, is like, knowing who is what, and then too, because like with the Skrulls, they never established, they established them as like they weren't the bad guys in the Captain Marvel movie. It's like, no, we're not the bad guys. The Kree is actually the bad guys. The Krees are the ones that are trying to, but that doesn't mean that everybody who's a Skrull is good. Like there could be plenty of people who are Skrulls that are just, bad news. It's just like,
well, we've seen that some of them are gonna be like, just based on what we've got in the comics.
And then you gotta also wonder about the greatest Skrull, my favorite Skrull, the Super Skrull. What powers is he gonna have combined? How are they gonna make him be like, and what's his role gonna be? Does he start out as evil and then turn good, or does he?
It looks like he has some of Man-Thing's powers in the trailer. He sort of like the roots come out his arm or something like that. I was like, what the hell was that? I was like,
it's cool with him. Like, that's what I wonder, and I bet you he probably starts out as an enemy and then gets converted over to being, I guess sort of reluctant hero, which is fine. Like he could be like an ally or whatever. And then how do you get rid of that? Or what do you do is you introduce another big character that just stomps him out. It's like, all right, we got the Super Skrull on our side, and the Super Skrull just get wiped out. It's like, oh no, now what do we do? So I can see that. I can see that him trying to defend the Skrull homeworld from like Galactus, and Galactus destroys it. No, the Super Skrull's dead. What do we do now? So there's a bunch of stuff that they can go with. So that's why that's kind of why I get annoyed with people when they like expect so much and they get mad if it's like doesn't deliver right away. It's like our movies are like, this is our time as far as movies is concerned. Like there's so many things that they can do and keep going with, and it's just like, don't get upset. As long as they're making these movies, it's just like, it's gonna be fun to go to the movies and see stuff, because I'm telling you, I saw a trailer on I think it was either Hulu or something, that they're advertising some rom-com movie. Like I'm telling you, they want those romantic comedies to dominate again. It's gonna be a situation where there's gonna be a different kind of movie, and it's gonna be like some shit that you don't want to see, and you're like, wow, I wish they were making these hero movies again. Like, yeah, you complain too much, and now they don't do it.
Yeah, right.
All right, I got a question. For Guardians 3, I asked the chat, over or under 2 deaths or more?
Oh wow!
I was gonna do 3, but I think I would have. That's an easy under, in my opinion. 3, but
you don't think you think less than 3 people will die?
Well, that's why.
Are we talking throughout the whole movie, or just out of the cast of the Guardians of the Galaxy?
No, out of like the major,
out of the major characters.
Oh, okay.
So you got like 6 of them or something.
Yeah.
Drax, Groot,
Because Nova and not Nova, Nebula
there's at least 6 in the Guardians.
Nebula and Rocket.
Well,
5.
Rocket, and then you got to include Gamora and what's her name?
And Warlock, I guess.
Well, no, I'm not. Well,
do we know? I guess
Mantis. You got to include. Mantis.
Yeah. I got Mantis.
So
6. Okay.
Out of the actual Guardians, I definitely think, I think you're good with 2.
The lady says Groot. I don't think Groot's gonna die. Groot's in so many damn scenes in this damn movie.
Yeah.
I think Rocket. I think they're killing Rocket off.
I say there's at least 2. I say 2 or more, and I think 2. Like this might be a little bit of a cheating one, but it's like, but if you know Adam Warlock's history, he's kind of like, that whole Rising of the Phoenix type thing. So it's like they could easily do that. But or let's put it this way: if he ends up having some type of death, and it won't be a lasting one, it'll be like a quick one. He'll come back.
Not his first death and rebirth are all in one issue of the Incredible Hulk. So
yeah, so he he's Like so I don't know if you count that out of the actual main team. I think it's easily going to be 2. I think it's possibly could be 3. That's just my opinion, but I think it's definitely going to be 2. It could be 3, just depending on what's going on.
All right,
I think they could do a thing like, what if they do something where they kill off a few characters, right? And then in the very last, one of them say like one of them's like Groot. And then in the very last cutscene, you'll see like a leaf falling and a root coming up, so you know that he like didn't actually die, but he rebirthed or something like that.
Well. Look, I'm gonna answer the Groot thing for Lady. They're not gonna do Groot again. They're not gonna do Groot again.
Yeah.
And then we gotta remember this is a different Groot. Even James Gunn said this.
And he's jacked.
It's like if you clone yourself, it's gonna be you, but it's gonna be different.
Yeah,
so that Groot that is in this movie is like a clone of the old Groot. And you could tell because, like you said, he's jacked. He's like Groot. He's like Groot on steroids. So it's like it's not the same. So I don't think they're gonna do Groot because we don't have that. We don't have that emotional attachment that we had from the first movie.
I don't think they'll kill Star-Lord off. Do you guys think Star-Lord could be on the docket?
He's the face of Guardians. He's the face of Guardians.
That's what I think.
I don't know. I think you could definitely. I think you could definitely see him going away. It just depends on. It depends on. I mean, obviously, like I have nothing to support. It's like, like I've seen this interview that he's done. But I don't know. I think if you're going for, like a shock value type thing, if you're going for something that's gonna really like.
That would be it. I think
really hurt the franchise, but if you're looking for something that's gonna, change it, like you would kill off him. I think Drax unfortunately is going away.
Lady basically saying the whole damn team did.
Yeah. No, Mantis is playing. Mantis will be there.
They just built that relationship with Mantis and Star-Lord. Like Mantis basically said, "Your dad is my dad." So we're half brother and sister.
So Star-Lord's what? He's an Eternal now, or a Celestial, or something.
He's half Celestial.
Half Celestial. So he's
because his dad was a Celestial.
I think they're gonna need him. So I don't think they're gonna kill him off.
Yeah, because they're gonna have to fight the Celestials eventually. You know what I mean? Like because the thing. I mean, I think he's gonna play a part whenever we get to freaking what's his name? Galactus. You know what I mean? Like, I think he's gonna play a part with Silver Surfer and all that stuff. You know what I mean?
So that leaves basically. I don't think it'll be Gamora. They've already killed Gamora off like once, right? Even though this is another. So we got Nebula. Basically, we're dialing it down to Groot and Rocket and Drax. Those 3 possibly.
And then you got and then Mantis's powers. People are forgetting. Mantis's powers is actually probably one of the strongest powers ever. She held Thanos down, but all she was doing is saying sleep. She can like when she does it, she can say sleep and die.
Well, that's what
sleep and stop breathing.
Lady Fantastic. That's what she said. She's like Mantis. She's a big deal in the Avengers. So
she is. She made her first appearance in the Avengers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think Rocket. I mean, if it could be a fake out, like I think it was Michael Baker said, Rocket could be a fake out, but I think Drax is going to. He made it very clear doesn't want to play this character anymore if he has to go shirtless every time. So he's done with that. Rocket, I'm 50-50 on. I'm not even 100% that he's gonna die.
But
I'm
you
really
know, you
not.
think somebody's got to.
Yeah, I almost feel like it could be Nebula. A lot of people don't think it's gonna be Nebula.
It could. Well, she wants to do DC. Maybe she leaves Marvel and goes do her DC thing.
And they've been showing some scenes with her doing some badass stuff. So this could be her send off. Like, hey, we got a whole fight scene of 5 minutes with you and Warlock. Like, we're showcasing your character, blah blah blah, because this is the end.
Right.
So I'm thinking because Nebula had a redemption, because she was so bad. She was evil. She was basically just the right arm of Thanos, even though how bad he was. But she redeemed herself, and the best way to redeem yourself is in a death. So I think she's gonna die. Gamora, more of the Gamora we know will come out. Her and Star-Lord will get closer because of the death of Nebula. So I'm thinking Nebula and Drax. The
thing too,
I think they're gonna lead into some new Guardians in the end credit scenes.
Yeah, I'd like to see Beta Ray Bill.
I think
or Nova. Somebody's coming.
Yeah.
Somebody's coming.
Give me Beta Ray Bill, Howard the Duck. You could throw him in there with Star-Lord. I don't know who else.
I think that the other thing too with Nebula is that even if let's say she dies, if she doesn't get like completely her body taken away, because she's she's pretty much enhanced and cyborg in a lot of ways. Yeah, it's like they can rebuild her if they had to. It'd be like or like rebuild the parts of her that aren't organic or something like that. It's just like all they would need is just because they could use some of that technology and it's like, all right, who understands this? Especially if you have someone like Rocket. Let's say Rocket doesn't die. Rocket does know a lot about technology, so Rocket could do stuff who's to say that maybe they might not be able to use some of the high evolutionary stuff to try and rebuild her or whatever, if that happens, but we'll see. But I agree with you that there could be definitely some newer Guardians or somebody else who at least comes in that could be part of the team. I think Nova is a very good guess.
I feel like that could be like an end credit scene though too. Like the very last end credit scene you see would be like the forming of Star-Lord and some new fucking goons.
I got a feeling. All right, if you kill off Nebula and Drax, a good replacement is Drax's daughter. You get that female replacement back, and then you get the connection of Drax. Yep.
Yeah.
I've been banking on Moondragon for like 7 years.
What was her first appearance then?
Iron Man 54.
Iron Man 54, and then Daredevil 105.
Yeah.
So those are the two. Like it's just like and I think she's called Moondragon for the first time in the Iron Man, but she's Madame McEvil in Daredevil.
She's Madame McEvil in the Iron Man and then Daredevil.
Oh, okay, Madame McEvil and then Moondragon in the other. So I reversed it, but I think that having either more Guardian characters pop in would be kind of cool. I think that especially like somebody like Nova. I think Nova would be a cool addition because of the fact that you could actually have him maybe be broken in a way where it's just like he needs a team, kind of like how
his whole planet got destroyed or something. Maybe I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like because we never we don't get to see the destruction of Xandar, but it's just like no, I was there, like I saw this, and it's just like so they bring him back kind of like they did with Thor, where it's just like that
was a 30-minute scene that cut out of a movie. Oh yeah,
I wish
I wish they would at least put it in a extra credits or something. Like
we get some Cosmic Ghost Rider.
No, well,
See
Well,
that,
that's
so
Frank Castle.
he was part of the Guardians of the Galaxy, one of those newer
Yeah,
releases.
but that's
like,
also like Frank Castle, like like a future version of him. So that's kind of a weird thing. I mean, it would have to be a different character.
yeah.
Just
Well, they
do
did
that.
they did him in that whole baby Thanos storyline and everything.
You know who else they could do? So we might be like let's look at it like this. So imagine they don't necessarily do Richard Rider Nova. What if they do Frankie Ray Nova, like that former Herald of Galactus type thing? But then that's how you hint in that Galactus is there. Not introducing Silver Surfer as the first, or as a current, or as the actual, like maybe they, you kind of switch it around. It's like, or even like someone like Firelord. It's like, no, like there's people that are out there, because there's so many different characters that you can bring out that are like, okay, how do these guys fit in? Like what would be part of this? What would make everything?
What if they do this? Because Warlock is basically a child grown. So Warlock is probably very strong, very, all that stuff. But what if he's like has the humor of Drax? What if they replace Drax with Warlock, and Nebula gets replaced by Moondragon?
Well, you know who else too is that
then Moondragon is a badass. If you read her storyline, she actually I think she mind controls the whole Avenger team at one point.
They could bring in Angela.
They could do that.
Oh yeah, they could
Don't
do
forget
that.
now, because we're actually forgetting about a couple of characters that were already introduced. You have
Quasar.
Well, no, you guys Star Fox and Pip the Troll, and Pip the Troll is tight with Gamora and with Warlock. So it's just like you definitely have
team
those.
Actually could get a lot bigger. Yeah, we actually could only lose 2 or 3 people and gain like 4 characters.
Yeah, I mean there's a lot.
Like or we could lose 2 and gain 3. I got a feeling that might actually happen.
I think the good thing with
Wolf.
that, you may not.
Like say, give me Man Wolf.
Man Wolf would be awesome.
Yeah, but they're not.
I think he's a high evolutionary creation too.
Yeah, they might. Hey, he might be an Easter egg in this movie.
Yeah. No,
because James Gunn's good for those Easter eggs. He loves going deep in the comics, give those Easter eggs.
And well, the other thing,
Doctor Doom, they could bring Doctor Doom in.
I mean, they could. That would be kind of like
he was part of the Guardians of the Galaxy for a short period of time.
I don't know if they'd bring him in just like that though, like because I feel like they really want to build him up to be like.
I'm just throwing out random ass names.
Yeah.
Oh, I know. Like,
all we know is there's going to be a new team, and it's going to be some of the old team with the new team.
We forgot about what's it called? Yandu's former first mate there too. He's in the Guardians. Sean Gunn's character.
Oh yeah, he is in the Guardians.
But he's kind of like the driver, I guess for now. But I think I'll have a bigger role because he's got that fin.
He's a very odd character.
Yeah.
The reason why I say that because it's like he doesn't fit in.
Kitty Pryde and Lockheed. Actually, Kitty Pryde was a member of the Guardians for a little bit because she was dating Star-Lord at one point.
Kitty Pryde and freaking She-Hulk they're very promiscuous.
Yeah.
Wasn't she like she was with Colossus at one point too?
Well, she liked Colossus a lot. Yeah, like that's actually kind of that's one of the things that Chris Claremont gets criticized a lot for, just because they're like, if you go back and you read those books, it's like, okay, at the time when she's really trying to get him to be with her,
isn't she like underage?
Yeah, there's an issue where like she's like, she's like, please, I want you to be my first, and it's just like, you go back and read it now, it's like, dude, she was 13 years old, man. You need to relax, like take it easy. And then you realize it's a grown man writing this shit. It's like, hold your horses there, pal. But they did a lot of good stuff with that.
And with her power, she could have took advantage of freaking Colossus.
Oh yeah, easy.
Oh, you don't want to? I'm gonna drug you. Put this drug in your stomach immediately.
Yeah. It's just
her powers are pretty like a lot of these people powers, and you just makes you like man, that'd be messed up. You could do some bad stuff with a lot of stuff.
Yeah, it's crazy stuff. You could I'd say her and Iceman, they're very lucky that they're not like Agents of Shield, because Iceman could absolutely do devastating things.
Iceman could create a whole new Ice Age.
Yeah.
He's
Omega.
Him and Storm could actually like destroy the planet.
Well, you know who else too? And this is actually kind of funny because people are like, she's not Omega. Yes, she is. It's Jubilee. Jubilee's got the same, I guess, like she's got the same level of power if she really focused it, that she could light the atmosphere on fire, just like Human Torch could do. Like she easily could do it. It's just like, you know, they're just like, wow, like I never knew she was that powerful. Like, yeah, like you think it's just shoots fireworks? Like no, like as she got older and progressed, they said that, like, you know, if she really focused and learned her powers correctly, like the way she is now, like she could light the whole atmosphere on fire and burn everything alive. Like that's pretty crazy, man.
Yeah, a lot of those, like, you know, they're gonna have to the X-Men are gonna have to get toned down a lot because just like Superman gets toned down because Superman character is overpowered originally too. So yeah, he actually have a story where Superman sneezed and he blew away a galaxy.
Yeah. Well, I remember that one, and then he had to go back and get all the planets, and he's got them all tied like a rope, and he's just like flying them back into their real orbit.
And the concept, and just thinking of that part, what he's doing, you're like, they're already dead. Yeah. Like if they're living creatures on those planets, they're dead.
Yeah. Don't worry, people.
That's like a kid who breaks something and like, let me glue it back together. They won't notice.
Yeah, no.
The Goonies. That's my mom's favorite piece.
They won't notice. But yeah, like the X-Men are gonna get toned down. Like, I mean, because Professor X, like with the help of Cerebro, could like kill every human, you know, like on the planet. So it's
probably have to a little bit, right? I guess just to make it, because once you start introducing a lot of characters though too, like you have to, especially because you can't have just all these superheroes that are just like ultimate like power and all this stuff like that. You know, you do have to make them.
Then again,
and they had a thing come out talking about the deadliest villains. I don't know if y'all saw. I saw it somewhere. It might have been on IG or it might have been on YouTube. But it's talking about the deadliest villains in Marvel, and there a few of them were like, you're like, damn, really? And then you find out their powers. You're like, oh yeah, Molecule Man was in that top 5. It was top 5. Yeah, kids can control molecules.
Yeah. Well, so his big thing is that like in Secret Wars, he put a mental block on himself. He didn't know that he had done this, but he put a mental block where he could only control like inorganic stuff. And then the Beyond is like, no, he's like you know, oh no, Doom tells him he's like I can get rid of this for you. He says like you can control everything. You can make water out of the air if you really wanted to. He's like, watch, and like he unlocked it for him. And then it was funny, he actually, I think right before he did that, he was just like, you know, he was pissed, and because he found out that Doom was like, yeah, I'm abandoning this whole thing, I'm gonna leave, and he's like, what? He's just like, so we're the bad guys, we're on this world. If we don't win this fight, we're gonna die. You're just gonna abandon us, and then so he like rips the world in half, and he tells you know, what's it called, Dr. Doom, he's like, I will rip you to pieces in front of everybody. He's like, if you try to betray us, he's like, I'm sick and tired of you doing this. He's like, if I could control live matter, you'd be mush in my hands. And he's like, you can watch this, and he unlocks it. He's like, go take them home. He's like, you have the power to save them. Go ahead and do it. So once he unlocked that, he was like something. And then I remember, I think in the Secret Wars 2, like one of like the you know the you know higher powers in the universe, like, wait a minute, no. Let him through. That's Molecule Man. Like, and he was just like, you know, he's like, you know, I want to talk to somebody. I want to talk to the Beyonder real quick, and then like
that's the other one too. Yeah, that's the other. That's the other one that's in the top 5 of most powerful villains in Marvel. Beyonder. It was Beyonder, Molecule Man, Mephisto. Yep. Who else? I remember those 3. Because they're not the one people probably would guess. Mephisto, maybe, but people probably would forget Mephisto. But it was Beyonder, Molecule Man, and Mephisto, and I can't remember the other 2. But it was like top 5, and I don't know if it was Dr. Doom was on there. I don't think any Spider-Man villain was on there. I can tell you that, even though he has a big rose gallery, I don't think any of his villains were on there. Maybe Galactus. Maybe. But I can't remember the other 2. What's up, Cali Comics? going on, Callie?
I think you know, yeah. I mean, it's pretty crazy when you look at like how much people can do, or what the type of stuff is that like some of the villains and heroes can do. Just because it's like
Punch.
There's a lot of things that you know. I mean, even if you look at in the MCU, it's just like, you know, if you look at you know, Loki himself, it's like Loki basically. If you look at what he can do, he's got the ability to basically use the powers of 3 Infinity Stones without even having them on him. Like, you know, he can create a portal and you know, flip from one space and time to another. He can create, basically he has like the Mind Stone. He can sit there and just, you know, make duplicates of himself. You know what I mean? Like he's got a lot of stuff that he can do and just manipulate. I think also Reality Stone, like he can manipulate what you see. Like so, I mean, he's pretty powerful if people don't realize it. And it's just, you know, in the comics, I mean, you don't think of it like that, but then the MCU is like, well, if you look at it, yeah, he's got a lot of power that you wouldn't think of. And then it's just like, the other part too is like, you know, Ultron could have been way, like if you look at the whole what if thing, it's like if Ultron had uploaded himself into Vision, how much more powerful he would have been just based on just that, you know, just that episode itself. Like if he had uploaded his body, the Avengers were dead right then and there because he would have just killed them all and then, you know, gone on to slaughter everything else that he didn't like. So there's a lot of really, really just like overpowered things that you see, you know, in just the MCU by itself. And it's just kind of funny that, like, you know, I think a lot of people don't realize it until you actually really go back and see, like, oh, wow, like, you know, he's just used 3 Infinity Stone powers by himself. Like no one really thinks about that, you know. But
we got not to go too far and change the subject. So I happen to get on my phone. I was just curious because I saw something about runner-ups on top, like hot runner-ups or whatever. They got one sale on here. All right. I'm trying to see if I see anything else that catches my eye. So I'll just go to this one. X-Men 266 first
Gambit.
First Gambit. Key Collector calls it the first cover and second appearance. CDC says it's the first full appearance. Chris Claremont calls it the first appearance. There's a whole history behind it.
Yeah,
you know why, but we're not getting into that. So a 9.8 sold Mark Jewelers.
Oh wow.
$1,100. How much?
More?
Yeah,
no, more than that.
13.
No, you guys. It's gonna be way higher.
High.
Way more.
Way more. Think of a crazy number. Just say a crazy number.
I'd say $6,500 is where I would start.
He's closer. He's closer.
I just saw a regular 9.8 sell for like $600. So like I couldn't imagine.
9.8 Mark 9.8 Bleeker's over, 15. But he's close too. Yeah, Bleeker for 15,000. Yeah. Chris, if we had to go like the price is right, Chris would be right by default because he didn't go over.
Yeah,
but it's sold for $10,600,
which is insane. And that's
without him. Do we have any idea how many of those there are?
Approximately 5% of the print run includes. Approximately 5% of the print run has those advertisements.
That's a pretty high print run, though. So I mean, like, this means there's not a ghost, but there should be.
For it to be a 9.8, I always like to play devil's advocate, and I'm not justifying the 10,000 price tag, but
no,
it's for it to get a 9.8, knowing where those Mark Jewels are at, first of all, is probably
that's not easy.
It's not easy.
No,
and then 5% were of that. It probably is less than that. Those are like in military bases and stuff like that.
Yeah,
like JLS. So
I mean,
I can see Chris's price. I can see 6,500. I can see that price.
It's a big key for it to be
it's a big X-Men key. It's a fan favorite if you grew up in the 90s watching the cartoon.
Yeah. I think it's the first appearance you want. I don't care much for
Yeah,
annual.
I always tell people it's the money book. I don't care if you say, "Oh, this one's but that's not."
It wasn't meant to be.
You can get that for $200 in a 9.8.
It was there was a mistake and it got put out.
Yeah, well, yeah, and so funny is people say, "Oh man, he's in so many panels in this," but did you read the book? If you read it, it reads like it came out after X-Men 266.
Yeah,
because it says something. It has something to say. It says blah blah blah. Revert back to X-Men 266.
Yeah.
So if you're reading it like that, it shouldn't have came out first. That line means it came out. It's supposed to come out after. So, but yeah, that's like a rabbit hole we could go into talk about it. But I just couldn't believe that price. That's why I just had to bring.
Oh no! I mean, the thing as soon as you say it, it's like, oh okay. Once you said Mock Jewelers, I was like, because I was about to say it's not a regular 90 it's gonna be that expensive, but like Mock Jeweler, yes, just because, and you know why it sold that high is probably because it was the only one there, and probably someone's like, oh, I never seen this before. Yeah. I'll pay that, and that's the problem is that it's hard to say because I mean I bet you there's more 9.8s out there than what people think, but the thing is always just like the conditions for there to be a lot of 9.8 Mock Jewelers of that book has to be like, okay, it was in a military base, it was in the box, it never they never touched it, it just stayed in there. So and these are all somebody came across, found a diamond box or whatever the distributor was, and then just took them and whatever, and then you have the people that like straight up bought it, took care of it, no problem. But it's just like, once you see that Mock Jewelers, like that's gonna go ahead and increase the value.
It's and then even if you had to press it to get it to a 9, like that's not an easy book to press. So with the Mark Jewelers thing inside, so it's a lot, and I've graded probably like a half dozen.
So here's the thing about that:
I've never gotten a 9.8 on a regular one.
But here's the thing: that book's got a black spine, so it shows everything. That's the hardest thing about that book is it's got that black spine on it.
And then the cover's dark in general as well. Like the cover's a darker cover. It's not like a white, a little bit forgiving cover. No, it's like I said, I've graded probably a half dozen at least, maybe a little bit more. And the highest I've gotten is I think a 9.6. I've got a ton of 9.4s, but I've never gotten a 9.8. I had to buy a 9.8. But I never gotten it. Let's see.
No, but I definitely think that when it comes to that, like that price is crazy. So whoever got that price, congratulations. You won't see it like that again, and if you do,
they probably whoever bought that book had the money to spare. So
absolutely. There's no whoever bought that isn't poor. But what I would say to anybody, to that collector is learn your lesson and don't do that again. Like,
and guess what? The funny thing is, the last time it sold was 3 years ago. So they are out there, like you said.
How much did it sell for 3 years ago? Does it tell you?
$2,000.
That's the pre-pandemic prices too.
So that's actually pretty high.
That's probably about what it's worth right there. I feel
that's pretty high in 2000. Now, if it would have been like 2001, I'd have been like, "Oh, this 10,000 seems too wrong." But I still lean on more Chris's price. If it's over $2,000 and $2,000 in 2000, I think 6,500.
Oh, in 2000, I thought you said 3 years ago. It sold.
Yeah, it was 3 years, 2020. I'm sorry, I don't know why I was saying.
Oh yeah, okay.
No, it was 2020.
No, I mean,
too many numbers.
More accurate.
Jesse and Lady Fantastic brought up kind of a weird. I wouldn't figure this would be a tough one to get a 9.8 in, but I guess Amazing Spider-Man 301 with the white cover.
It is, but it's not as it's not as expensive as you think.
Oh no,
the 9.8. It's still it's a big price difference between the 9.6 and the 9.8.
Yeah,
but
I just was.
That's another book I haven't seen a Mark Jewelers on though.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not worried about I'm just looking at a 9.8 because you figure a white cover kind of gives you the benefit of the doubt. You know what I mean? It's just like, all right,
But is the back of that cover just like 300, all black? I'm just curious. I don't know.
White covers, man, those are so hard.
Like white covers. I mean, if you get a good white front cover, that's good. But yeah, that back cover, with that TSR ad is just like, And I feel like a lot of times too, where people where people will go ahead and they go, oh yeah, like look how good it's just like that the back cover is always the thing that like gets you every time. Because I mean, if a front cover is rough, you know that. Like that's whatever. But like that back cover can absolutely demolish you, especially if it's a dark one. Because it's like, yo, the front cover is gorgeous, and all of a sudden you turn on the back cover, it's like, yeah, tick, 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 tick. It's like, this sucks, or some bend or something crazy that happened where it's just like, that's why, like, whereas everyone's like, oh, the print run is so high on the ASM 300. Yeah, but like, I mean, that's a tough book if you don't have it in a good place, or even if you had it, you got to really make sure that you're taking care of that book, because like the slightest thing is going to sit there and get ticks and stuff, and then it's like, oh, not 90 anymore, or not high grade anymore. So
I got a question, because they had a lot of CinemaCon stuff. If anybody knows what CinemaCon is, it's basically a convention where they invite movie theater owners and not Marvel, with Disney and Sony, all these different studios.
All the industry bigwigs.
Yeah, all these studios present to these movie theaters. Basically say, hey, we're and because DC, not DC, but who owns DC?
Warner
Brothers Discovery.
Warner Brothers did their presentation and said all of our new movies will not go to streaming first. That's one of the big things they said. So it was like, it's like reinforming theaters. We're really gonna go for theaters. So that convention came out. Some of the big news they had was Rhino being shown in it was Craven.
Oh yeah, I saw that. Yes.
And it's not gonna be Mechanical Rhino. It's not gonna be. Nope. I gotta read it again, but it's like I don't know if he turned. I don't know how he gets, but he's not gonna be. They said it's not like the Paul Giamatti one.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like he's like. They say the scene is like he was talking and he said, "I'm Rhino," and he like kind of, I guess, morphed into the Rhino. So I'm kind of like, I wonder if they're making him like an X-Men, or almost kind of, not like an X-Men, but like a mutant, like making his powers like a mutant.
I don't know. I'm because I saw something. It was like a fan article about that right there, and they had a picture like drawn of him, and it was like a cyber looking Rhino. So if they said that they're not doing that,
you're gonna see a lot of that misinformation stuff.
Just it's not going to be that. It's not going to be that. The Paul Giamatti was in the cyborg one.
No, that was I don't know what it was.
Yeah, it was like somebody made that in the backyard with guns and shit.
Yeah, man. It looked like Mark I Tony Stark Iron Man type.
Yeah. The other thing was like, so they had that all online, and I remember like it came up, people like, oh, like we saw that, we saw the Craven trailer, the actual one, it looks good, like this is cool, and like Rhino's in it, and they kept saying like so the footage that was there, you're not gonna see it on YouTube, so don't even try looking for it, like you won't find it. But we're just saying it looked good and this and that, and it's like, oh, cool. So and that's where a lot of that's coming from, because I think a lot of people were just focusing on that, and so they just put in that picture of like, oh, Mechanical Rhino, because that's all they have, because they can't, like only the people that were there at that place saw that. Everybody else is just kind of like, oh, like,
and those are movie theater owners, and certain high class YouTube critics or regular. You got to be certain. You got to know somebody to get invited to that, or you got to be somebody to get invited to that, or you own a theater. So they're not going to release that information, especially the theater owners. They want you to come to the movies. They're not trying to release stuff for you not to come to the movies. So I'm curious to see how that turns out. I don't know how to, Morbius was so bad. Like I watched Morbius. I think I saw it. Where did I watch it at? Did I go to the theaters and watch it? I can't remember where I saw it at, but it was.
I saw it, I think, on Netflix.
It was on Netflix when they dropped it. Yeah, so
yeah.
Well, yeah, it is going to be rated R too. That's what I heard too. What's up, Dope Comics?
Which
that's.
I think that's a cool thing that's going to be rated R. Yeah. Because I think really with that, especially when you're going to do like a villain movie, it makes sense if it's rated R. It makes sense if it's like, more brutal than your average hero movie, just because it's a villain. Or in his case, it's like more of an anti-hero. It's just like, you can't have Craven really be, I think, mostly like a PG-13 thing, especially if it's going to be his own story, just because he of the nature of his character. Like, he has to be a little bit more, brutal than your average person. Like, that's just the way it's going to be.
Yeah, and I think like JLS said, he wished they'd gotten the other Morbius and Carnage would have gotten R.
Yeah.
I think they learned a lesson that they didn't get R or at least a strong PG-13. Like, they didn't even get a strong PG-13. Like, and you can like R, you can get a strong PG-13 and still do what JLS is kind of like hinting about an R, because R is really for strong language, and the violence is actually when they show blood. You could have Morbius could have been super violent, and you didn't see any blood. So it's like,
Morbius had a chance to be. Morbius really did have moments and chances where it could have been really good, and then it just kind of veered. It was almost like they didn't know what kind of story they wanted to tell. It's almost like they should have had an R rating, just because it's like they kind of handcuffed themselves. Like, well, we really can't do much with this, and this is as far as we're gonna go with this. So we're not gonna, we're not really gonna put this in the space that it belongs in. It's just like you needed to put it in that space, just because, especially if you're trying to build those villains to be something more with that. Like, if you're gonna have that Sony Spider-Verse type thing, whereas it's like, okay, it's gonna collaborate with Marvel here and there, but we want to have our own Spider-Verse where, like, we can have our own Spider-Man type stories. And that's what makes it tough, because like if you find out that Morbius 2 is coming out, who actually wants to see it, even if it is rated R? It's just like, I don't know, because it's like, you kind of burn people the first time. It's just like, I don't know if I want to pay money to see that. Like, I'll wait till it comes out on streaming and see that, but I'm not going to pay you money to see that. Unless there's some huge turnaround. It's like, no, this is definitely going to be way better. And it's going to have to tie in a couple more things. It's going to make a lot more sense. So, and you can't really do all that for the trailer.
I'm going to unbox something, show it off. But the next thing, we got to talk about it probably before we end. They have a writer's strike.
Oh, yeah.
I saw that. I saw that SNL canceled a couple. They canceled an episode because of it.
Yeah, they're going to be showing reruns. Yep.
Yeah, they said that they're canceled for a while, and it's just like, so is it like TV writers, kind of like what happened with Lost and stuff back in the day, or is it like
comic book writers too?
All writers.
I follow Ryland Grant on Instagram, and I saw him out there with David Avalon picketing and stuff.
That's crazy. So the writers all across the board have
Writers Guild of America or something.
Yeah, Writers Guild.
Really?
The thing I'm curious about, maybe JLS can give us a little more insight in this, because I can look it up later. But does it affect movie like stuff that's already written? If you know what I'm saying, like, I'm trying to think what's like shooting right now. Can't even think right now. I'm trying to think what's shooting. I really don't pay attention to stuff that's like currently in progress or getting shot. I'll say this because he's been in the news. That Russ movie with Alec Baldwin.
Oh yeah.
Does that stop filming because of the writer's strike, or can they keep going because they already have the script? It's already been paid for.
I think they can. I think that something like that they can keep going, just because they already have it. It's already been done. But as far as something that is
like getting worked on, they can't.
Yeah. Well, because I'm trying to think of how that works. So I if you have a TV show that has that, so if it's already not currently in production, that's gonna hurt you, just because so if you're let's say because that's what happened with Lost. It was like, okay, it was strong up until the strike happened, and then it was just like, okay, now you lost some time, and then it's like, all right, now you just kind of rush stuff or sign different people up who aren't affiliated with the guild to just kind of churn out whatever, and just because they have deadlines to meet, because NBC already ordered more of the show, so it's like we're not going to not have the show. Like, you need to get this back on television now.
Yeah, that's what happened with Heroes too. You remember that show Heroes? That was my favorite
Heroes
show.
thing. Yep.
Oh,
And,
that
lasted
was my
like one
favorite
season,
show,
right?
man. It went 2 seasons, and but they had a writer's strike right after the second season.
yep.
And
then it
the
got
writer's
weird.
strike lasted over 100 days, I think.
Yeah.
And it screwed up everything for TV. More so than movies. Didn't really mess with movies as
Yeah.
much
It was
because a
huge.
lot of stuff that was already in production just kept on going. This couldn't do, like he's talking about, rewrites or punch ups and stuff like that. They couldn't do that type of stuff, but everything else can keep going. So for movie wise, but TV shows are going to be completely stopped, completely paused, because they do that like episode by episode. So that's what happened
Yeah.
with Heroes. And like I said, here and see when they came back with Heroes to do season 3, a lot of these actors started getting into movies, and they started just writing them, killing people off left and right. And like season
Didn't
3
they
was like the
do?
worst season. They just wanted to close it off, the show, and they closed it off already.
Didn't they do it branch off and do something else after that? Another like version of the show or something like
with
that?
Heroes? Or
They tried to bring it back, I think. They did try to bring it back.
Oh yeah,
but
like Heroes Reborn, but yeah, I think it was Heroes Reborn, something like that.
Yeah. And I mean, but it was like 6
I didn't even
years
watch
later.
that one. Yeah, I didn't even watch that.
And no one cared. It was just like whatever.
Yes.
And then that's the tough part is that once you like, I know it definitely hurt Lost badly because it was just like so I mean because like Lost was like one of the biggest shows and it was just like all right and people were like riveted to
I think the top shows at that time was Lost, was obviously Heroes was in the top 5 as far as top shows at that moment. They had another show that actually only lasted 1 or 2 seasons. Jericho. I don't even remember that show.
Yes,
Jericho.
That's right.
That was a good show too. The first season was freaking awesome, but the writer's strike happened like I want to say right at the end of season 1. Yeah. And so when season 2 came out, it was just like Heroes. The writers like, I don't care.
Yeah.
And they threw it together.
That is true. Yeah, Jericho definitely like it's funny because it's like you're talking about what? Let's see, what was that like 2000? Was it like it was I want to say like 2005, 6 somewhere in there. I don't fully remember, but I do remember that like when it happened, like a lot of things just a lot of people were just like wow, like this is rough. And when things came back, because people were excited, this is like this is not the same. And it killed their viewership. It's just it's really just kind of it's really just kind of a scary time when you hear that type of stuff. Just because, like you said, 100 days like that's a long time. And when you look
that's the last time it happened. It lasted 100 days.
Yeah, and if you're looking at it where it's like it's already May, and usually the new TV cycle starts right around August, September is when like they start premiering all the new shows. So it's just like if it goes 100 days, then you're gonna end up being basically right almost to that point. You'll be to like August, mid-August maybe, let's say, and then it's like now you got to scramble to get this stuff going because we ordered the show, we need it to be put on. So what are you guys gonna do? And then same thing with like movies and everything like that. Like movies, I think you kind of have. I think we need a little bit more leeway with that just because it's all right. Well, this is going to be in production for a long time and everything, but you can kind of right the ship without that. But TV, where it's episodic and it's every every week you need to have it ready, that's going to be tough.
So I unboxed my
3-book. I don't think the media is under the Writers Guild. I think it's more or less. I think it's more of the I think that's different. I think that journalists aren't quite the Writers Guild, but I mean I could be wrong because I think the news kind of falls under different categories. Not quite. I mean, it is entertainment, but it's like it's not specifically entertainment type situation.
So here are the books that I picked up. I already did I forgot to take that question thing down. So the deaths.
Votes.
Yeah, we had 12 votes. It ended up being 6 and 6 because it got 50%, 50-50. People thought, about the deaths, 2 or more. So
yeah,
I'm gonna show some books This is an unboxing, but I'm gonna ask the question for myself, and then we'll. If y'all got some books, y'all can do it. So, slab or not to slab? That is the question. But I have 3 books. You can answer this. You can answer for all 3. So ask the community, who that? Slab or not to slab? So these are my books that I just unboxed. First book up, Avengers Annual 10. It's signed by Chris Claremont on the inside. They graded it a 9.4. Looking it over, it'll probably be a 9.4. I'll probably still send it to CGC because it's inside cover, so it still get that blue label and still get a high grade. Other book on box, this one is very nice. They graded a 9.0, and it actually might be a little bit higher than a 9.0. This one is actually the only one I think this one's only higher. So first, Mara McTaggart, X-Men 96. I was looking for an upgrade for my 8.5. I think I got it. This one they graded a 9, taking a 9 to a 9.4. The last book. Oh, can you see what that is? Can you see? What y'all guess on what that is? What is that?
I see a red fist.
I see it.
I think it's a. Oh, all right. I see that was 133. Oh, 129. Sorry.
129. First appearance of Kitty Pryde, Emma Frost, and Sebastian Shaw. Michael Baker guessed it. He said 129. So those are the 3 books. Should I slab or not slab all 3 of these books? They graded this one a 9.0 to 9.2. I'm not sure. Looking at the defects.
I say yeah.
Looking at the defects, I think it might be an 8.5 up into a 9.2. We'll have to see. This one I'm kind of saying 9.0, maybe a 9.4. That's the grades I'm saying for those 2. So I'm thinking it's a little overgraded, but this one I think is actually undergraded. So I already have like 2 of these going to CGC. Headed that way. I already have 2 of these going to CGC, and I don't have any of these. So this is some insight. So that's what's going on. I already have done the paperwork to get them graded because CGC is raising their prices. So they're going. I'm just curious to see what the people think. And I forgot this one was actually signed on the inside. So here's what it is. Michael Baker says 129 all day. Lady says pass on the 96, slab the Avengers Annual 10 and the 129. Even with saying the condition lady, because I said that's 96, and I'm just looking at the front. It's 96. It's 96 looks higher.
She said you need to send it to her.
Nah, it's too high. Sorry, it's too high of a grade. She knows I collect female characters, so if this doesn't grade higher than a 9.0, I'll be disappointed. That's how clean this looks. I have to look at the back and see if they have any foxing. If they have foxing, then it's going to stay a 9.0. If they don't have foxing, this actually probably has a shot at a 9.6. That's how nice the front looks. So we'll see how the back looks when I open it up later and put some blue tape. I always change this Scotch tape. So if this one is as high as the front looks, this one's actually more of a slab than the other 2. So that's my idea with that. The Chris Claremont one, like the Avengers Annual 10, I could have not done it because it's signed on the inside. I could have just maybe waited for what's his name, Golden, and maybe go to CBCS with this one. Get it witnessed by Michael because he goes everywhere. Get Michael Golden to sign it and get the other signature, verified. But I end up going with CGC because they'll just write it on the thing saying signed by Chris Claremont on the first page or whatever and give me a blue label. So Michael Baker says slab them all.
Nice.
If they don't, if they don't buy it raw, I will grade it. Well, already have the paperwork to grade it, so it doesn't. I don't care if they buy it raw or not. But that's my thoughts. And what y'all guys think?
I would sub. That's just me. I think there's 3 good books. There's to me there's no reason not to, other than if you are just not into them, to keep them or whatever like that. I mean, I know you're doing it for probably trying to
This one was a keeper. This one was a keeper.
Okay. Well, I say
these two are not.
Yeah, I would say because I know that you collect the female characters and everything, so it's just like I would do it regardless, just because I like all 3 books. I have all 3 books, and I think if you have them in the good condition, why not?
Yeah,
let's say slab all 3.
Yeah, I think especially if you're gonna sell the other 2, I think you should slab them just for that reason. Then you don't have to argue with anybody about it not being the grade it is or anything dumb,
Yeah,
that's my mindset on a lot of stuff, especially when they're keys like this.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Totally. I don't have to argue with anybody about
nobody trying to lowball you or nothing.
Yeah, because you're gonna get that. You're definitely gonna get people that are gonna be like, oh, like what's the grade?
That's not an 8.0. That's a 6. You're wrong.
Yeah, and that's always the toughest part, is like if you're eventually gonna end up selling it in the end, or just in general, it's just like that's a book you don't want to have to argue with somebody. All 3 of those are books you don't want to argue with somebody about the grade. Like, well, I can't tell that it's actually this, so would you take this for it? So that's just my thoughts. I don't know.
I agree with Michael Baker on that. I've said that book multiple times. It's undervalued book. It got a little hot during the pandemic. It cooled down dramatically. But his 3 first appearances. I also think it's like the Hellfire Club as well. The only thing that it's got going for it is if it's a 9.8, like he already just posted, it's a $3,000 book.
Yeah.
Thing is, if it's a 9.6,
it's not.
It's not even $1,000. It's not even $1,000. I don't even think it's an $800 book in a 9.6. A 9.4 is under $400.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of.
It goes like this at a 9.8, and it goes.
That's because I think it's still fresh enough to where people are still able to get the 9.8s.
What they think,
higher grades. They're able to get higher grades.
Yeah, you're able to get 9.0s or up to 9.6s easier, I think.
But books like that, once you get to a point where like you're not even able to get like 9.6s, find them out in the wild, those prices will start going up too. On those big, blue chippers, I call them like that.
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie. I would love to get that book in a 9.8. I've kind of given up because the only way I'm going to get that book at a 9.8 if I buy it raw and I get it graded. But I've kind of given up. My LCS, I had the best shot, and it came back a 9.6. So, but even what I paid for it at my LCS, I didn't half of 9.6 prices. I don't even think I paid 1/7 of a 9.6 price. So I'm happy with 9.6.
9.8s can be difficult to get, man. Like you'd think it'd be easy a lot of times, but it's not. It's because it's such a subjectional thing, based on who you get, who's actually looking at it. You know what I mean? All those things.
No, only got 4 votes, but it's 100%. I'm gonna end it. We got 10 people, but only 4 votes. It's okay. I'll count you guys as 5 and 6.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, no, I mean that's a pretty easy vote. Like, I don't think those are books that anyone would say like, no.
Well, I got the annual 10 sitting behind me in my Send to Dustin box. So
like, I mean, my annual 10 is like it's triple signed, so it's just like that. I would have to do at I'd have to do that at CBCS.
How many annual 10s do you have?
I just got one.
No, I'm talking about this. You know who I'm talking about. Yeah, he always is pulling out more
4 or
than
5
one.
copies. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, that's the thing. Like
I
just
only got
read-
one copy that's triple signed, but I mean, I got like 4 or 9. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I have just that one and it's triple signed. So it's just like I don't know. I didn't try to get more. I probably should, but I just haven't been doing that.
So Claremont, Golden,
And Al Milgram.
Al Milgram. All right. I was like, don't tell me
Al
you got John
Milgram's
Byrne to sign it
quality.
or something. I was like,
No. I mean,
Crazy
I don't
Byrne.
think he actually worked on that.
I don't think he worked on it, but I think it has some characters that he didn't create, but
Yeah.
Claremont's a cool dude too. Have you guys ever met him?
Yes,
I
met
have
him
not
twice.
actually. I have not. He
He's
hasn't.
actually going to Terrificon.
He I don't think he comes south much unless it's the CGC side.
I saw him at New York Comic Con, and I was waiting in line to go into an auditorium to see him, and he was just standing in line the whole time, walking through it. I like literally had an actual conversation with him for like 2 minutes, standing in line, taking pictures with him, and then he'd walk around like he's just one of the dudes. It was pretty cool.
No, he's really nice, and I remember the New York Warriors actually used to have they used to have kind of an opening thing that they would do for their show and stuff, and they'd be like, oh, he's like, hey, he's like, you're watching, Biggie's comics, home of the New York Warriors, behave yourself in Brooklyn, like, it's just like the way he's talking about, like, oh, so he lives in Brooklyn, but it's just like the way he said it. He's like, home of the New York Warriors, like, you behave yourselves in Brooklyn though. It's just like, what's he doing?
A lot of people think it's better JLS. Y'all got anything for slab or not to slab?
I don't.
That answers Jeffrey's question. Should he slab his Avengers Annual 10 that's in the box with Jim?
Mine's not quite as high grade as yours, but I think it's at least an 8 in that range.
I was about to say, if it's an 8 or better, I think you're okay. Either if it's an 8 or better, it's like I think that grade is worth it, so you don't have to argue the grade with the person.
Yeah,
absolutely.
If your goal is to eventually to sell it, which
it's one of those books. It's definitely one of those
stuff is going to get sold. Eventually, stuff is going to get sold. Even
if funny
you don't sell it, somebody else will, because LCS is dealing with that.
Everybody's got spec books they spec on. I've got a pile of fucking books that I'm just waiting for them to, skyrocket in price to sell off and everything.
Yeah. Well, to Jesse's point about the cover, it's funny because like the cover that you see on that book that on the Avengers Annual 10 is the Al Milgram cover, and it was funny because I talked to him about it, and he was like, "Yeah," I talked to actually him and Michael Golden about it, and Michael Golden's like, "Yeah, I wish they had done mine because mine, like, was I put a lot of work into it and it looked really cool," and then I guess like they just they didn't want to do that or whatever, and then he said that like when it came to Al Milgram's cover, he's like, yeah, he's like, they gave it to me in the last second and they just kind of gave me this, and he's like, so I didn't have a lot of time to do really much. They just kind of wanted to be more of a simple cover because they didn't think that they were worried more about it being like they didn't care that they were introducing Rogue. It's like, all right, so she's a new character, fine, but they didn't want her. I guess they felt like on the original cover she was overshadowing Captain Marvel, so they were just like, you know what, we're not going to do that. We're just going to do this cover here, and like at least that way,
Milgram's amazing. Like,
yeah, no, he's great. For
him to put out something like that, it had to be something weird because he's done some amazing covers.
Well, that was the thing. He said it was short notice. Like, they pretty much came to him and said, like, at the last second, like, you just put something together that just kind of gives an idea of everything, like kind of like an old school cover, where it's just like we're gonna just kind of tell you everything that's in the book, and but you got to read to really see it, and so he was kind of like bummed on that one, and of course Michael Golden was bummed on his because he's like, I made this really cool cover, and they just didn't want it. But there's a lot that's like that. There's like the original cover for 361 that Randy Emmerlin did, what was very different. That's a good book.
I forgot to show this one. It's
Slab.
Something I picked up.
Slab.
Well,
if I ever get a second one, I'll slab it.
It's not a 9.8. It's probably a 9 to 9.
That's fine by me. I was slabbing 9.
maybe I would say I'm just gonna lean on the 9 side. So it's not gonna be a slab for
Oh, I
me,
was glad that.
but it's going to be probably just sell raw. Who all worked on this book? I gotta see.
Frank Miller, Chris Claremont, and Joe Rubenstein did the inks on it.
Awesome. I'll just go. Yes, it's gonna be a slab because Joe Rubenstein is actually going to be at Dallas Fan Expo.
Yeah,
that wasn't
yeah,
even that
Rubenstein.
wasn't even the plan. So but like I said,
Yep.
it's not. But it's gonna get sent to all my books that I'm getting signed at Dallas are gonna get sent to Dustin. Literally, probably Friday. I'm gonna mail them out. But yeah, I gotta get stuff signed. So yeah, it'd be still cool if it comes back in the 9 or 9.2 signed by Joe
No,
Rubenstein.
absolutely, man. That's a great book. Like, and as long as it's not too beat up, it'll always present well because it's just this big center cover of Wolverine. Like, so when I slap books, especially my older books, not that that's an older one, but like most of my Incredible Hulk books are older. I try to find one where it's like you're never gonna find one perfect, but you try to find one with the best images, right? Like that's how I did. The corners might be a little bit bent up, spine might have some wear on it, but that image in the middle, it looks nice. So even if it's a 4.5 or a 5.0 on a book that's 60 years old, the image, still looks good, still presents well.
Mm. Yeah.
So yeah, I actually didn't have anything for Joe Rubenstein to sign.
Now you do.
I hope my LCS picks up. He says he has some other ones that might be. If he has one that's higher grade, I'll fight that one.
This is
But
what you said, Dan Jurgens.
huh?
Did you say Dan Jurgens?
No, I said my
Rubenstein.
LCS. Rubenstein.
Oh, Ruben. Oh, yeah. No, there's a ton of all you have to do is go through. So if you just go through a database, because he worked on a lot of stuff. Like he worked like let's go. If you have any of them, the Infinity Gauntlet, he worked on those. He worked on the Wolverine stuff. Like he inked for a lot of people. So he's all over the place. Like there's a ton of
Oh
stuff that you
no! I'm not. Well, I'm not saying. I didn't plan on bringing anything.
Yeah.
For him to sign. My plan was trying to get something from Mark Silvestri.
Oh yeah.
I already have something for Art Germ. I got something for James Tinian and I think one of his artists or something, Polanco, that's worked on World Trade 33, that new book that came out. So I got that. In Huck Lee, I'm gonna have something for him because he doesn't come to the States a lot. So that's gonna be I'm gonna have something for him. So the only thing I was actually looking for was like Mark Silvestri. I don't have anything for him. What else?
There's a bunch of good stuff.
I mean, I could get a lot of stuff. Oh, and the Joe Rubenstein, I didn't have anything, but now I do.
Yeah. I would say the top 3 things I would say for Silvestri that I would look for is X-Men. What's it called? First Jubilee. So X-Men 244, 221.
Sinister.
Yeah, and then I would say, I mean, there's other books within that run. I would say maybe, but like, and then there's one cover. There's a cover that I really like. It's the crucifixion cover with Wolverine. He's on the X. That's a good one. And then
it's like that purple turquoise cover.
Yep. That purple cover.
You know what? The other one that's good too is the first. Which your girl becomes the Goblin Queen. It's Wolverine.
Oh yeah.
He looks like almost like he's venomized.
Yeah. The one where he's turned into a brood.
Yeah.
I actually have the X-Men 221. I have but I don't think it's gonna. I really want to get a 9.8 because it's not that expensive in a 9.8. So I'm like, or maybe a high grade one. They're not like raw. It's not expensive, so I'm kind of on the lookout. If I have to, I'll use one of the ones I have. But I think at best it'll come back a 9.4. Yeah. But hey, at least it still be signed by Silvestri, and then eventually maybe Claremont will do something, and I can get him to sign it too. And get double sign. But yeah. So I do have backups for Silvestri if I can't find high grade of the Jubilee or 221. But that's the plan. So I already have, I got stuff here and there. The major thing is I don't have anything for it's like who I said
Exactly.
yeah, I haven't purchased the In Huxley book.
Do you know what you're gonna use for that one?
Yeah, I just don't want to say it. I don't want nobody to buy it.
No, that's cool.
Not that I don't. I'm not for the hunt.
No, he's got some great variant covers.
Yeah, he got some good covers. One I can tell you that I was actually was thinking about is I think it's oh man, it's I actually sold the slab of it. It's Hellions 18, the 1 in 500. He did the variant for that book, 1 in 500 Virgin. I was actually thinking about buying because I know somebody who has a couple of raw copies on IG, and I was almost contemplating buying it from him and doing that, but I haven't decided. But I really don't want to get multiple books. If I meet these, I just want to get one book because I'm already getting a lot of stuff signed by like a lot of the Star Wars people. Right. And I did an estimate on how much I'm going to spend on signatures, not including artists, and I'm basically at $1,000. But look, you said, "Woo!" Look, I'm only getting 10 books. I'm only getting 10 books signed. Only 10 books.
That's okay.
That just tells you how much they're charging.
No, I know.
It's like the Ashley Epstein. What's the name? Rosario Dawson. Yeah, Rosario Dawson. You got the James Taylor. You got Anakin and Obi-Wan. Like I want to get them to sign 2 items, so that's going to be 4 signatures on 2 items.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the majority of my money. That's majority. That's majority. I wanted to get Zachary Levi to sign 3 things, but I'm actually doing the math. I'm going to have to go down to 2 things. Yeah, because the plan was to get 3 things signed and keep 1 and sell 2, but I might have to just get 2 things signed and keep 1 and sell 1. So we'll see how that works. But.
Yeah, I'm looking at Key Collector right now. See, what potential In Huxley books, and I know a little bit. I saw it right away. I'm like, I know 2 that
you should send that to Tone and get him to sign it get Tone to get it signed for you.
I know, right? I was just thinking about that when you were saying. I was like, oh, I would do.
I think because he's driving. See, I'm flying. I'm very limited of what I'm taking.
He's got another one with Red Hulk, and he's like, crushing Deadpool. I used to have that book, but I gave it away. But that would be another because it's a white background. You get a signature on that. It looks so good.
Yeah. Like I know the Captain Marvel one, where I forget the character that came out of it, but like she's like almost kind of like Venomized. Like I know that one, and then
that's the first appearance too of Star.
Yep.
I think.
Yeah. So there's that, and then there's I saw a Black Panther book. I'm like, oh, I was like, I can see who they're going for that.
Oh, and the other person I was thinking about is Jay Lee. You remember I was telling you Jay Lee? My LC actually has a Century 1.
Yep.
And it probably is a 90. I looked that book over a few times. The thing is, I got the money I have to pay to, they want eBay prices. I hate to say it.
Oh, of course.
If the price was under $100, I probably would have bought it by now, and that'd have been a book to get with Jay Lee. But I might not be able to get nothing signed by Jay Lee because I don't have anything in my PC for Jay Lee.
Yeah.
But I could buy something, but I don't want to spend $120 on that book.
Yeah, I have 2 Century number 1s. I got those before, so it was like after it had that big jump, and it was right when it started to come down again. And people were like, oh, like no one cares about this. And I was like, oh, perfect. I was like, ding. And I got it, so I didn't have to spend a lot of money. I was excited that I did it, and I was able to see him at the Rhode Island Comic Con last year. So I got both of those signed. So I think I have 2 full runs of 1 through 5 signed by him. So
that's my 9.0.
There you go.
So like I said, I think a pressing cleaner could get a 9.4. It's not going to get anything higher than a 9.4.
Yeah. You know what's tough too? Another book that I would say, if you can find it, but like this one gets stupid. It is the So Much Fun variant where it says classic under there. Yeah, that one people ask a lot just because of.
It's so funny that book was super cheap.
It was for a long
like
time.
a few years ago, like literally, I
Yep.
think before the pandemic, it was like
Yep.
really cheap. Like when I say
and then
really cheap,
people
it was like
realized it was
$10.
yeah. Well, that was the thing is like there's so much fun. It's just like it's tough to deal with just because of the fact that you have. I mean, the so much fun thing was more of a kids thing. So it's like they give those to kids, and then when people are finding out, like, oh, like if you have a high grade one, it's kind of hard to get a high grade one because kids mangle those books, and it's just like So now everybody tries it. Like it's the same thing with that, and then the GI Joe, I think it's 63. There's so much fun variant. It's like it's hard to get in the high grade just because. It's a book that everybody just handled as kids. So
Yeah, I'll probably stick with these and just move it along. If I find a Jubilee, if I find a high grade Jubilee, I'll probably do that one. But y'all got any books y'all want to ask the chat? And before we, I guess, maybe head out.
I don't like I just I don't have anything.
See, I hear
everything
Jeffery's rambling. You got something, Jeff?
No, I'm just looking at some of my stuff to see what I got by Lee now. You got me thinking.
Yeah, because everything that I would have that I would have said, oh, slab and not to slab is actually gone to be slabbed. So
really?
I don't really have anything that's like would you or wouldn't you? Like it's just like nope, the stuff that I was gonna think about getting slabs is now away. So I'm hoping it comes back and all high grade and we'll see what happens. But
I actually didn't have anything, but I just used the unboxing books. I think this one, I should have just did this one by itself and then say what I was going to do with it after I thought about it. Because I think the best thing to do with that one is to get it signed by Joe Rubenstein. So that'd be kind of cool. I could get that one signed. I can get the X-Men 221. They're not going to be 9/8, but hey, if I want to sell them, I can eventually. But I'm mainly, it'd be something to actually be something cool to do the experience with my daughter since she's coming to the convention on Friday, so I could actually walk and get all those signed, with her. So that'd be a cool experience because they're gonna come to the convention Friday. And I could, because she likes to draw, so maybe she can talk to the artist, And Fridays are usually slow on any convention unless it's like San Diego, New York. So.
Yeah, well, I say a lot of that comes down to depending on the time too. Just because I know that Terrificon usually is slow. Like, I mean, on the Friday it's slower. Oh,
I don't know.
The thing that makes it kind of tough though is just that because it's in Mohegan Sun, a lot of the people that will come on Friday are already staying in the hotel. So you have a lot of people that are going on vacation. So it's a little bit busier of a Friday than you would expect, just because of the fact that so many people come, and it's just I mean, it's a great location for a convention just because you have the casino too. So it's just you have just that whole thing. So it's just you easily could just sit there and say, hey, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and take a vacation, head down Thursday, gamble a little bit, and then go to the con the rest of the weekend. So
this is that totally awesome Hulk in Hercules.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, there you go. What you got? You could get tone the size.
Yeah.
Might as well, man.
That's another drawing for you, lady. She drew a couple of dolphins.
Dolphins.
Jeff and Junior.
Hey.
That's cool.
Yeah. So that'd be kind of cool. I gotta buy her ticket for Friday, which is, if you buy it early, it's under $20. So
this
that's a good
one. Right here. You probably get
that's a cool one.
The 50.
You know who I have? You know who I have more stuff of that I didn't realize is David Nakayama. The DNA
I don't think
stuff.
I have any of that guy.
I actually have I have more stuff of him than Lee.
Yeah. I think the only Lee stuff I have is I have a couple of different variants from different stuff, and it's just I have I think one or two from the Infinity story. I have a couple from the other one, the Black Order, and then there's just that Captain Marvel with that Star first appearance. So those are all the books I have in Hercules, and then everything else is just I don't think I have any David Nakayama. So that's just kind of a, I mean, it's funny how some artists kind of just elude you. It's like, oh, I don't have any of this guy. It's like, oh, that's different. You
I
figure you
don't
would
think
have
I
a little
have
bit of
him
everybody,
either.
but yeah. Some people are just like for the longest time, I like until I went to the Little Giant, I didn't have any Peach Momoko. People like, oh, I have tons of Peach Momoko. Like, I had this one book that I got that they included with with the goodie bag for the VIPs. Other than that, I have nothing Peach Momoko at all. So
I got some
that's
of
just,
his
All right.
stuff.
So I think that's gonna be it of the show. But I want to share something. I didn't mention it earlier, and a lot of people already know. Good friend of the community, a guy that myself, I think Chris and Jeff all know, passed literally 2 days ago. Um, it's Mr. Chad RCG. I'm trying to share it if I can share it. Look at oh my, I think my computer froze.
Stephanie Hans.
Okay, so I'm not even going to be able to share it. My computer froze. I'm going to have to come back.
I can see you. Like you're not
Oh, here
frozen.
we go. All right, here we go. All right, here we go. We're moving around. I'm trying to exit stuff out so it doesn't freeze.
This Stephanie Hans. This is a nice Star Wars.
Nice.
Look at this guy just pulling out books. He's just pulling out stuff, man. But Mr. Chad RCG, man, surely gonna be missed. Great guy. So this is his GoFundMe. It passed the goal up. I want to say mostly because of the YouTube comic community. So they passed the small goal that they had, and I'm guessing the goal was just for funeral costs, maybe.
Yeah,
Or to help with with funeral costs, because it's not. It's
not.
Funerals cost more than $5,000. Yeah. So, I know what's his name, Sands is probably gonna get together with a few guys and probably do a charity auction for Chad. I don't know when that's gonna be. I'm just scrolling out so you guys can see, some of the stuff. Chad was actually only
46 years old, man.
I thought he was in his 50s.
I said at the top of the thing he was 46.
Yeah, well, yeah.
I didn't know how old he was.
I didn't see that like at first. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then, but yeah, if anybody is in the not Chicago, but Illinois area, they put that where all the stuff is going to be held from 2 to 6, stuff like that. So if you are in the area and you had experience with Mr. Chad RCG, Real Collecting Gangster, well, that's what his RCG stand for. Go see the family, say you have some thoughts, man. The news is that it was a heart attack, if people are really wondering. So he did have a lot of that issues. He talked about it on his channel, on other people's channels. So I'm not saying anything that he didn't talk about. But he was doing a lot better, I would say. But when you have those issues, you never know when they creep up on you. But I've said it a few times, to people around. If you have time and you think about it, call friends, call your family, call your mother, call your dad, call your brother, sister, whoever you want to say, call them. Just to say hello, just to speak to them. You never know, because I hadn't talked to Chad in a few months, but I talked to him on the phone. I literally had his phone number. Just thoughts and prayers with his family on my end. I don't know if y'all guys have any thoughts about Chad, but but I think that goal is going to get busted even higher once we figure out what we're going to do with Sands. Yeah. So I did mention it to a couple of people on IG, Elite Comics 11. He actually had dealings with Chad. He looked up like history, like your message history, and I don't think they're going to do anything, but I did put it out there. So trying to get as much as you can. Shout out to the anonymous top person right here with the 500 that came from somebody in the comic community because that wasn't there until everybody found out. Just throw that out.
And even if you can't donate, always just keep your ear, and then you hear about an auction, pass it along.
Even if you can't donate, I mean, as far as donate money, this is a comic channel. Everybody's watching collect comics. I'm pretty sure you have comics that you don't want. You can always reach out when they do the charity and say, "Hey, I don't have the money, but I do have some books." And it kind of is same with me. I don't have the extra money, but I do have comics.
Yeah, I got an Instagram channel. I can spread the word, when the auction comes around, that kind of thing. I do have
comics and stuff like that I'm gonna probably donate and use for that. So I'm just gonna stop sharing that. But
it's a bummer, man. It's a bummer. The longer we do this, the more friends we lose. It's total bummer.
Mm-hmm.
It's the hardest part about this.
I'm trying to think of like when we first met him, because I want to say, and I don't know for sure. I know I first became introduced to him through.
I'm gonna share a book that I traded with him. You go ahead.
It was either the it was definitely an off air, and it was either before it was either I want to say had to be like around 2014 or something of that nature. So it was either somewhere in there or maybe a little later on. And I remember it was either with the group that we have, Undisputed Frost, or was back when we had a group with Chaz. And I don't fully remember around that time, but I remember he would pop in and talk with us that way and stuff like that. And then I know he was very active with Comic Core, with Drew and all those guys and everything, and hung out with them a lot. And then I remember too that he would always be on the auction selling stuff and everything like that. And I remember, and it was kind of cool. And then when I had started selling and everything, on Hoodats or Sands or whatever, and he was on there. I don't know why. I can't tell you why. I don't know what the reason was, but he would always sit there. As soon as they introduced, Boston Chris, he'd be like, oh.
Can you hear me? Did everybody else freeze? Yeah, it's not me that's frozen. I'm sitting here wondering if I'm the only one froze. Okay, thanks, Michael. Hey, Kenneth, good to see you tonight. Yeah, bummer. It's never cool losing anybody. I was not as close to Chad as maybe Houdat and Tony and those guys. They did a lot with him on the auctions and things like that. I knew who he was and seen him around. But yeah, just big thoughts and prayers to his family for sure. It's never cool losing somebody in the community, especially when they're that young, right? You think they should still have more time with us. It's the only one not frozen. All right. Oh, hey.
Well, I'm going to end it. But this is a book I traded with Chad RCG. So shout out to Chad.
Yeah.
So, I traded a Marvel Premiere 15, a double signed, a Stan Lee and Roy Thomas. It was a 9-4, I think, double signed. So, so shout out to Chad, man. If you could donate. If you can't, spread the word. If you can donate books to, Chris is back.
Yeah,
sorry about that. There you go. I'm about to close it down anyway.
Oh no, I just felt like kind of way. I was like, enough with that story. But I was just trying to be, I was just trying to say that, he was a nice enough guy, and it was always fun to be around him. So, definitely a big loss for the comic community.
Yep. So can't say anything else. So appreciate everybody checking out the channel, checking out the graphic content episode 6. Appreciate Jeffrey joining us.
Always good to be here.
Next time we definitely can talk what happened in Guardians.
Yep.
And we can see what our speculations were right. And probably by that time we might have some other news about something else. Who knows? But I appreciate everybody, Lady, Michael Baker, Kenneth Burr, everybody, Cali Comics, all these people that stopped by Hawaiian Punch. So y'all got anything y'all want to promote before we hit that in? Besides the hunt? Because we know about the hunt.
Every other Wednesday, Michael.
Yeah. Other than the hunt, not really. Just tune in for that because it's gonna be crazy. It's gonna be a fun show. I think that I don't know all the matches on it, but I know there's gonna be some really good stuff. So it seems like everybody's gearing up. Everybody's planning on doing something big. So definitely be there. Definitely check it out because it's gonna be a fun time.
Yep. So be on the lookout this Friday to hunt. It's gonna be fun. Every other Wednesday is graphic content, so definitely check it out. I think they got other stuff going on tonight, so y'all go check those channels out. I don't know if Sands is doing his show or not, or if I know they got a couple of auctions, I think on Wednesdays. I'm not expecting, so check those out. So, but sub everybody up. We'll be back on the next one in a couple of weeks, man. Y'all be cool. Thank y'all.
See ya.